The rain began as a hesitant sprinkle, growing bold by the time my old pickup rattled into Ravenswood Edge. A place less visited than forgotten, nestled deep within the great embrace of the Blackmire Woods. Isolated cottages sagged like tired bones beneath weeping eaves, windows dark and unseen. An oppressive silence hung heavy, broken only by the mournful creak of the ancient signpost, Ravenswood Edge. I was here seeking solitude, perhaps inspiration, in the quietude touted by the cryptic online listing for the small, abandoned rectory on the edge of the village cemetery. The rectory stood gaunt and skeletal against the bruised sky, its stone walls weeping dark trails of damp. The air inside was thick with the scent of dust, decay, and something else. Something cloying and sweet, like dying flowers mixed with graveyard earth. The cemetery itself lay just beyond the back door, a field of tilting headstones half swallowed by encroaching weeds and the long, grasping fingers of shadow. Days rolled into nights, each one darker and more suffocating than the last. The quiet wasn't peaceful, it was watchful. The wind didn't just blow, it sighed with 1,000 unseen voices. My sleep became a fractured landscape of unsettling dreams, graves opening, hands reaching from the dirt, the sound of scraping bone. One evening, a particularly vivid dream jolted me awake. In it, a figure moved among the headstones, silhouetted against the sickly moonlight. The same figure I glimpsed in the village before disappearing into the shadows of Ilias Thorn. The man the few locals I'd seen spoke of only in hushed, fearful whispers. The bonebinder, who lived apart, rumored to meddle in things best left undisturbed. A compulsion I couldn't explain, cold and insistent, drew me to the window. The cemetery was bathed in an unnatural, phosphorescent glow that seemed to emanate from the very ground. And there he was, Ilias Thorn, clad in dark, mud-caked robes. He stood in a clearing near the center of the graveyard, surrounded by a circle of flickering candles whose light cast grotesque, dancing shadows. He chanted in a low, guttural language I didn't understand, his voice a rasping whisper that seemed to peel back the layers of reality. Around him, the ground began to stir, not subtly, like shifting earth, but with a deliberate, awful purpose. Hands broke the surface first, pale, dirt-caked hands, fingers twitching like startled spiders. Then heads, shoulders, entire torsos struggling free from their earthen prisons. My breath hitched, trapped in my throat like a stone. They were rising. The dead were rising. Their eyes, when visible, were vacant holes, their movements jerky, unnatural. They were not alive, not truly, but animated by some fall, external will. Thorn raised his arms, and the figures turned, their blank gazes fixed on him. He spoke again, his voice now stronger, sharper, a command slicing through the night air. He was not asking, he was telling them, directing them. These were his puppets, his grim servants, pulled from the slumber of the grave to obey his dark bidding. Horror, cold and absolute, seized me. I had stumbled upon the bonebinder's secret. I had seen the forbidden work, and the chanting seemed to grow louder, closer, as if the air itself was vibrating with the terrible power being wielded just yards from my window. Then the scraping sound intensified, not from the clearing, but from near the rectory's back door. One of the raised figures, perhaps sensing my presence, perhaps directed by Thorn's unseen command, was shuffling towards the building. Its head lolled, its limbs moved with a horrifying stiffness, but its trajectory was clear. Panic, sharp and desperate, finally broke the paralysis. I scrambled back from the window, my heart hammering against my ribs. The sound of dragging feet, the scraping of disturbed earth, grew louder, closer. There was no escape through the back. The front door. Could I make it to the truck? Or would Thorn, alerted by his summoned horde, prevent my flight? The scraping stopped, replaced by a faint, rhythmic thudding against the back door. Not a knock. Something heavy, more deliberate. The wood groaned faintly in protest. I backed away further into the rectory's musty darkness, breath catching in my throat. The eyes of the unburied watched me, even through the thin veil of wood and stone. The night was long, filled with the sounds of things that should not walk. The thudding continued, relentless, patient. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that I had become just another soul touched by the darkness of Ravenswood Edge, another secret the bonebinder would seek to reclaim for his grim collection.